In terms of the report, I think overall it's a really good news story for the people of Hereford and Worcester, demonstrating that the Fire and Rescue Service provide good emergency response services on their behalf. Yes, I think that there are areas that we've had identified for improvements, and we welcome the report in that sense. So we're always keen to learn in those areas. But it was very reassuring to find that our own self-assessment prior to the inspection picked up on many of those areas, and we're already looking to put plans in place to be able to deal with them. In relation to the effectiveness, so how effective we are at keeping communities safe and secure, all of the elements there, understanding risk, protecting the public through our regulatory powers, responding to fires and other emergencies and responding to national risks were recorded as good. The one area in that that they identified some improvement was around preventing fires and other risks, and it wasn't so much about our prevention activity, it was making sure that we evaluated it properly. So if you look at the statistics, 43% less fires in Hereford and Worcester since 2004-05 compared to this year, even though there's been an increase in population by 6%, and an 8% drop in road traffic collisions that we've attended, even though there's 22% more vehicles on the road. So our prevention activity is delivering benefits, but it's quite right for the Inspectorate to identify that we need to evaluate that and target it effectively. We've been working very closely with the Inspectorate. We did a self-assessment beforehand, so we were very aware of the areas that need to work on. So in the other two pillars of the inspection around how efficient we are, we've got one main area there in terms of the current use of resources as opposed to our future plans. Our future plans were deemed as good, but our current use of resources, the Inspectorate felt that we could improve on that area. And we've been looking at things like crewing changes for the last 2 years and trying to negotiate those with the local representative bodies. But we've got to a stage now, as I said, the Fire Authority made a decision yesterday that we'll now stay with riding on crews of 4 going forward, and that is within our budgetary restrictions. Other areas that they have identified, particularly around the pillar for how we look after our people, so this is about people within the Fire and Rescue Service. We recognised in our own self-assessment that there were areas that we needed to work on, but it's been a very difficult few years. 20% less spending power in real terms since 2010, and about a third less staff across all areas over the same period. And we've also done some major changes. So we've moved our headquarters up to the police headquarters. We've had a lot of uncertainty around future governance, and also we've been trying to make the service more flexible and add more value. And on the backdrop of that, when you've got staff that have had very little increase in their wages because of austerity in the public sector, you can see that we're in a challenging environment, and we need to be able to engage effectively and work with our staff to be able to move forward on some of those difficult decisions. There is a need for constructive engagement. We're very committed to that, but I think it is a two-way street, particularly around realising that we are in some difficult times, particularly around the limited budget that we've got and the prioritisation that we need to make. And it's having that grown-up conversation with people about where we have to make those tough choices. But I've given my commitment to the service and to the Fire Authority that I'm really committed to have that constructive engagement. And there are things like there was some criticism around our promotion processes, and we've already, as I said, identified that, and we have been working with the staff to look at a new process which they feel signed up to, which we're going to be trialling in the new year as well. So I think there's some small things that we can do, but there's also some bigger areas. So things like reviewing our values. Again, we've identified that before the Inspectorate came in, and we're in the process of reviewing that and then engaging with staff to put some revised values for the service in place in the new year. I definitely think we're still going to have a challenge with the funding. I think that it is also about that engagement, because you can see the thrust of all of the public sector about using the public pound more effectively and more efficiently. So we're going to have to look at different ways of working, more flexibility, working in collaboration, looking at how we can add value, particularly around some of the wider issues around vulnerability, around social care and poor health, particularly for our growing elderly population. So I think that it's engaging with the staff, engaging with the communities, and trying to find ways in which the Fire and Rescue Service can use its resources not only to do its core activity but also to add extra value, particularly around that health and wellbeing agenda. In terms of operational efficiencies, the report highlighted that back in 2004 a decision was made by the Fire Authority to ride the full-time fire engines with crews of 4, but then a decision was made to use some reserves to try and maintain that for a couple of years with crews of 5. That money came to an end in 2016, and we then tried to engage with the representative bodies, like the Fire Brigades Union, and with the staff to see what we could do to potentially work differently to still deliver crews of 5, but with the money that we have available for riding on crews of 4. We've spent 2 years trying to broker that agreement. We did have an agreement with the Fire Brigades Union. Unfortunately, the local membership didn't want to progress with that. So we're at a stage now where the Fire Authority has said, well, we've got this amount of money available to us. We're going to be riding with the crews of 4 as was set out back in 2014. So I think that, as I said earlier, I think it's some of the difficult decisions. We need to be upfront about those things, and we need to be able to engage staff, but that doesn't mean that we cannot walk away from those decisions. I think that overall this is a good news story for the people of Hereford and Worcester. It demonstrates that their fire and rescue service is providing good services to them in their time of need, and we're also working hard to improve how we manage the service going forward. So yeah, I'm very proud to be the Chief Fire Officer of Hereford and Worcester Fire and Rescue Service, and I hope that we can continue on that improvement journey.